Hello and welcome to The Coming Conflict. This is Tom on February 22nd, 2022. And if you think the UFO narrative was over, you are sorely mistaken. Do you truly believe that your president, air quotes, truly represents you or your will? Let's get right into it. So, as we all know, and let me start this off by saying, sorry I missed my video last week. I went to this little Tokyo place. I had a lot of fun, so I didn't have time to do a video. We also missed the hangout last week with Mike and Andre, but we will be doing that tonight. It will be in the description. 7 p.m. Eastern time. Me, Mike, and Andre, we're going to be talking about World War III, narratives, money, whatever comes up. Really enjoyed doing that with those guys. But if you think that the UFO balloon story was at its end and we're on to the next thing, I think you might be mistaken. Now, the balloons might be over, okay? And the common thing that I heard with a lot of people was that the balloons were a distraction from the East Palestine railroad derailment and the chemical Ohio Chernobyl, as they say, which I am not at all minimizing the absolute catastrophe that happened in East Palestine, but to compare it to Chernobyl it's like calling Donald Trump a Nazi. If you call everybody a Nazi, the word loses its meaning. If you call everybody a racist, the words lose its meaning. If you say that this is the same as what happened at Chernobyl, you're really taking away from the severity of it. Especially if it happens again in the future, which with Pete Buttigieg at the helm of the trains, it very well might. So a lot of people thought that the balloons were a distraction from the railroad, which they could have been. But that is supposing that Biden cares at all about what's going on within our nation's borders. You have to suppose that Biden is so worried about the train story getting out that he would let this balloon story go crazy. And I know I'm a little late on this, okay? But it being a little late has given me some time to retrospectively analyze what's been happening. You would have to assume that Biden is so worried about the blowback that's going to happen because of this train derailment. That's why he went with this UFO narrative. And I think that's where everybody's getting this wrong. Biden does not care about what's going on in this country, period. He doesn't care. He doesn't. He doesn't care about you, doesn't care about the people, doesn't care about what his policies, what the consequences of those policies are. He doesn't care at all. He is so convinced that he can do whatever he wants because he was put into office in a way that was completely divorced from the will of the people. If you believe that former Vice President Joe Biden is now sitting in the Oval Office in a way that was via the will of the people, I have a bridge to sell you. I have a bridge to sell you, and I don't know how else to convince you otherwise. These people that are in power now know that the way they got in power was illegitimate. So what obligation do they have to you, the voter, to you, the citizen, to you, the taxpayer? Nothing. And this is when things get dangerous. This is when we become China. This is when we become Russia. When our leaders are no longer acting with the consent of the governed, they have no obligation to act on behalf of the citizens' best interest. And that's where we are now. So yeah, the balloon thing might have been a little bit of a cover-up for Ohio, but I think not. I think this is all a internal bread and circus distraction. Because at the same time, now we have Biden. First, he went over to Ukraine to pledge his everlasting support for the Ukrainian dictator Vladimir Zelensky as he shuts down opposition parties, media outlets, and churches. Biden pledges his ongoing support. Then he goes over to Poland and says Biden vows Ukraine will never be a victory for dictator Putin in Poland in speech. And he goes on in these speeches, both the speech in Ukraine and in Poland, about freedom and victory and democracy. Hey, knock, knock, knock. you listening at home, do you feel that we're living in a free society? Do you feel that everything is right, all right? Do you feel that this administration is looking after you? How much do you pay for eggs? How much do you pay for milk? Have you lost your job because you refuse to take a experimental gene therapy? Where were these people then? Where were they to look out for you? Can you give me one example of this administration doing something for the little guy? I can give you several with Trump. But I don't need to. You all lived through Trump. You lived through the tax breaks. You lived through the prosperity. I lived through it. I started my own business under Trump. I was making more money than I ever had in my entire life. And like a light switch, it all just changed. I'm not complaining about where I am now, but it's twice as hard. It's twice as hard, and it's twice as hard on purpose. Because these people that are in this administration do not care about you. They care about Ukraine and their neocon warmongering agenda. They care about debilitating Russia so they can use it as a cudgel against China. That's what this is about. That's what this has always been about. I don't know why Ukraine in specifically. I'm sure there's some grander plan that I know there's some grander plan that I'm not fully abreast of. But this is all about balkanizing Russia. Why? Because outside of Russia, there is no global superpower that has the resources that Russia does outside of us. So if we balkanize Russia, in my opinion, the second superpower in the world outside the United States, then China then has to deal with smaller players for their natural resources because China has no natural resources. And China's in a demographic death spiral with people I'm not saying China's a paper tiger, but if you think those people are going to go to war for the Communist Chinese Party, okay, you got another thing coming. Do yourself a favor, research what happened in Sudan with the CCP when they got sent as peacekeepers by the UN. You'll laugh. They ran right away when there was a problem. All right. On the other hand, we have this man, Orange Man so bad as he heads to East Palestine. Now, a lot of everybody's going to say, hey, this is a political move and this and that. Hey, it darn well might be a political move, but I'm sorry. There's something I can see in Donald Trump is this. His ego is so large that he wants to be loved. That could be a negative thing, but it also means when he says the things he says, it's because he believes them. He wants to be loved by the American people, and he knows that the only way the American people are going to love him is by doing the things that are best for the American people. He's going to this town in this state that he won in 2016 and 2020. And because of his actions going to this town, right? Now you have the EPA guy who was about to go on a trip to Africa to talk about climate change and tell the Africans why they're not allowed to have refrigerators and electricity the way the West is because it's going to kill the planet. Well, he just went up and real quick canceled his trip. Now, Governor Mike DeWine, the snake he is, he's coming back to Palestine. Donald Trump acted as a forcing function. If you want to talk about internal politics, if you want to talk about the condition of our nation, okay, Donald Trump is the only man that has his eye on the ball about what's actually going on. And I know a lot of you probably like DeSantis, but DeSantis is not the man going to East Palestine. He's not the man calling for peace. Because at the end of the day, I know I just kind of went down a rabbit hole. Let me wrap this back for a second. At the end of the day, all of these smaller things, while they are terrible, yes, China violated our airspace. Yes, this East Palestine train disaster is terrible. But they are all a distraction from the bigger picture, which is World War III and China and Russia getting into bed together. China says ready to join forces with Russia to defend national interests as Putin confirms Xi visit. Not only that, China is trying to play this peacemaker. They're trying to play the middle of the road. They are trying to do what we did in World War II without the nuclear weapons. Now, a lot of you are so disillusioned, and I know, I get it, I understand. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, that are watching me are so disillusioned. And they're like, well, the dollar's going to collapse, and the U.S. has done terrible, horrible things, and the U.S. has become a force for evil in the world. And I agree with that. But the U.S. is the best thing left on this planet. Everybody out there who talks about, oh, well, the US dollar is going to collapse and we're going to go to a petri yuan, or the US dollar is going to collapse and we're going to have a BRICS nation basket of currency basket of commodities back currency. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to be governed by the morality of China or Russia? Because I sure as hell don't. I don't. I'm a Christian. I believe in freedom. I believe in our Constitution. I believe in our Declaration. I believe in the things that created and made this country what it is today. And I see far too many people on the right and on the left, but especially on the right, that are so willing to say, well, this whole system is corrupt and broken and we just need to start over. No, we need to make America great again. And this is where Donald Trump shines. He shines because he's not calling for the dissolution of America like Marjorie Taylor Greene is and a national divorce. He's calling for peace and reform. We don't need to break this system. We need to break the people who have captured it. And that includes the communist Chinese. That includes the neocons. That includes anybody who says that America is not a shining city on a hill. It's not an example for the world. If you think that, you are the problem. I'm sorry. That's not to say that America and its foreign policy hasn't done evil things, because it has. It has done absolute evil things. And the evil things that we continue to do, like in Ukraine, only further tarnish our reputation. But think very, very carefully before you start wishing for something different, because soon it might be China dictating your morality. And in the CCP, I'm sure you all know this. I'm sure anybody out there who wants the collapse of the United States dollar as the world reserve currency, I'm sure you guys know this. So forgive me if I'm repeating something you know. But did you know to be a CCP member, you have to pledge that you are an atheist? You have to pledge and sign under penalty of death that you worship no God. Why is that? Because the CCP is the God. The CCP is the God in China. So don't sit there and talk to me about how many millions of people China has lifted out of poverty. At the cost of how many of its own citizens' lives is the first question. And at the cost of how many other countries' manpower and manufacturing is the second question. So we'll get off that. We are at such a dangerous time where we have people with their heads spinning 4 different directions. Balloons, East Palestine, China, the petrodollar, all this crap. The only thing we need to be focused on right now is World War III. World War III. Donald Trump seems to be the only one talking about it. I know Ron DeSantis brought it up. But he said, we need to make clear to the American people our goals in Eastern Ukraine. People, we do not have any goals in Eastern Ukraine. We have no goals in Eastern Europe whatsoever. It is not strategically important to us. It never will be. But what it will do is facilitate the merger of China and Russia into a Axis power that could rival the United States and possibly end the world. Think about it. Look at the person you love the most and ask them, do you support Ukraine, or would you rather that person not be vaporized? And then we get to the root of the problem. Why? Why are these people banging these war drums so damn loud? Could it be because the neocons know the monetary system is collapsing? Martin Armstrong warns, war checks all of the boxes. And that's it, right? That's it. It's all about money, and it's all about preserving what these neocons believe to be theirs, their world order. Because it's not ours, the citizenry. It's not our will that runs this world. It's the will of special interest groups, big money, finance, banks, Corporations, that's who runs this world. And that's the problem. It's not America. America isn't the problem. America's the last answer. It's the last bulwark against this crap. But we're running into what could be the biggest financial catastrophe ever. And that's why we have war, we have chaos, we have CBDCs, we have the seeming neglect of what's going on actually in our own borders. It's because these people, these neocons, know that the US dollar is about to be supplanted. And with the US dollar being supplanted, they lose control. They lose control of their toys. They're no longer able to start their wars and make their millions off their weapons manufacturers. And that's it. It all comes down to money, power, and control. But this time, that money, power, control game, it's not with Afghanistan. It's not with Iraq. It's with a nuclear power. I heard today, and I don't know how true it is, but 99% of all nuclear arms in the world are controlled by the U.S. and Russia. Whether that's true or not, I know that Russia is the second largest holder of nuclear arms. That's just factual. And they just suspended their START treaty, meaning no more weapons inspectors, no more we're going to stop testing and building. That's it. One of the great achievements and one of the great bulwarks to hold the Cold War back is gone. But nobody cares. Nobody seems to be afraid of nuclear war, but I am. I don't want to die for some country that most people can't find on a map. And I sure don't want to die for some country that is filled with nasty ideological neo-Nazis run by a dictator named Vladimir Zelensky, who will jail opposition journalists, political opponents, shut down the oldest church on the planet. No, that's not freedom and democracy. That's us fighting for a dictator. And if I were Zelensky, I'd be very, very concerned. I'd be very concerned that what happened to DM in Korea didn't happen to him. Then we have the World Government Forum saying basically we need a shock to transform the world. But we all know this at this point. We know this. In our hearts, we know this, that something is fundamentally wrong and these power players are just waiting. They just need something. And that's why I think the UFO narrative is not going to go away. I believe they're going to use the UFO narrative right as we're on the brink of nuclear war. They're going to push us to such fear of a nuclear war. We're going to have the new drills where kids get under their desks. They're going to push us to the brink of absolute nuclear destruction. They will make us afraid of nuclear weapons again, like we are not now. They are going to put us at that point. Then they're going to call in Operation Bluebeam. Then they're going to call in the aliens. Because, like the report from Iron Mountain says, war is important for an economy. And if war goes away, they need a way to continue to stoke the economy. And it says, if you look down there in the blue, they're going to do it through euphemistic enslavement, meaning materialism, meaning, oh, I'm free, but I need an iPhone, meaning I'm free, but I need to pay this tax, this thing. I think I'm free, but I'm euphemistically enslaved. They're going to do it through pollution of the earth or climate change, or they're going to do it through a fake alien invasion. This book was written in 1967. They said it was a leaked government document. Then they came back and retracted that. Who knows? But these are smart people laying out the exact circumstances that we're in right now. They either need war or they need another racket. Because like this says, I hate Wikipedia, but it does a good summary. Like this says that a peacetime nation doesn't make enough money. So they need something. And I will leave you guys with this. Before I play this, I would like to say, please follow me on Truth, Getter, and Twitter at Coming Conflict. Watch me tonight at Rethinking the Dollar with Mike and Andre at 7 p.m. I'll leave the link down in the description. And please leave me a rumble, leave me a comment, tell me exactly what you think, share this video, and subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to grow an audience of like-minded people so that we can all discuss our thoughts. I would like to start doing live streams and just have a conversation with you guys about what you think is actually going on. Why do you think these things are getting so bad? Where do you think this is going? We need more voices. We need more voices. So I'm going to leave you with this. It'll make you laugh.
Invited stumble up to Air Force One before. Again, this happening moments ago as he's leaving Warsaw, Poland. Again, if you missed this moment, again, the President of the United States walking up the stairs, tripping up the stairs again, attempting.
This is who they call your president, Americans. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, in the information war, knowledge is power, but awareness is victory. God bless.